Good afternoon, everyone. It's Dr. Latricchiano here. I wanted to check in now that we've completed the first couple weeks of the course. Believe it or not, that's a quarter of the course. You're used to this in your 8-week courses, but things do move rapidly now that we get into looking at your topics more specifically, looking at the literature that speaks to your topics. I've been reading the responses and some discussions in your discussion board from this past week. But I wanted to talk mainly about what comes next. So now that you've centered your topic and you're about to look into the literature, we need to start talking about how to conduct a literature review. What we found in this course is very helpful is that matrix that you will be working on in the next couple weeks. What it gives you is an opportunity to choose literature, look it over, make sure you've digested it, and then assess how useful it is to what you are going to contribute in your white paper. So it's important that you stay on top of things, start your literature review, and start to contribute to that matrix of articles. And again, I always say this each semester, the stronger and more complete you make that matrix, the easier it's going to be to write your paper. Um, Another thing I'd like to remind everyone at this point is it's not unusual that if you start working on a paper, working on a topic, and then as you peruse the literature, you start to see your topic sort of shift a little bit. That's not unusual. Actually, typically, when I write a paper, I start with the literature review and then think about what specifically the topic is really going to be about, especially if it's a research project, this is not a research project. This is a white paper. So you're just looking at the literature. You're not going to conduct any actual research. But what I always say is to look for the gaps in the literature, where the literature does not talk about certain things, because that's going to provide you with some recommendations that go into your final white paper. Also, the reading you've been doing for the last couple weeks is very much meant to be folded into what you are focusing your paper on. So it's not to say every one of those articles from the first couple weeks are going to be relevant to your white paper, but there is an expectation that you will use the change and complexity literature to outline how you are going to affect change in your white paper. So keep that in mind. Students often ask me, should the literature I'm choosing from the coursework, should that go into my matrix? And I would say yes. Again, it just helps you sort of think through what the value of that literature is to your um, to the recommendations you're going to make in your white paper. Okay, so let me just share my screen for this week's session. Here we are. We're in week 3, and as you can see, and if you've looked ahead, the weeks become less full because you're becoming more independent now as you start to create the work that is going to contribute to the white paper. So it's always good to look at this section. What do I need to do this week? It's basically helps you focus. This is not this is a structured course. It's not a free-flowing course. So it's important that you stay on top of what is expected for each week so that we don't have any problems down the road because you've fallen behind or whatever. There is a video to watch, which is going to help you understand how to do a literature review for this sort of paper. And uh, if you have questions, you want to talk with me, I'm always available. We can set up a Zoom. We can, review some of your earlier, findings in that literature if that's something that you need help with. But generally now is when you sort of buckle down. I want to end today's session by reminding you the capstone is designed the way it's designed because we want to see you operate at a more independent investigator level. So that's really what we're out to see. Can you, after everything else you've done in your various master's degrees, can you actually organize thought and share it in a way that can affect change? That could be a published article. It could be a report you're doing for where you work presently. It could be, something that as a professional, you might use in maybe teaching or training exercises. It's not because we expect each one of you to publish in a journal. Um, but we do like to try and shoot for that ideal. And other students have worked with me on their capstone uh, white papers to turn them into uh, publishable works. But the idea here is really, can you communicate your ideas working relatively autonomously? If you look at the discussion boards, we have not filled this course with a lot of discussion boards. We want you to focus on your writing and the reviewing of the literature. And it won't be till week 6, which is 2 more weeks from now. It won't be till week 6 that we start to share our initial drafts and get feedback and so forth from each other. So I hope this little video finds you well, and enjoying your summer in whatever way you enjoy it while you're taking what for many of you is probably the last course of your degree, which is exciting. So have a nice summer. I'll be checking in periodically. And please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you need individual time or have ideas that you want me to respond to, either privately or questions you have for the entire class in questions for the professor. Outside of that, I'm going to bid you adieu today and have a great rest of the week. Bye-bye.